Bama running back, Clemson wide receiver, LSU, Ohio State defensive back. I think those are some of the staples in college football that you can count on being elite. Of course, Georgia at running back, same deal. We got Palmer Thomas on the line to break down Georgia football. Spring practice starts on the 17th of March. Palmer, we appreciate you stopping by to talk an easy one for you. Usually when we talk Georgia running backs, the very best in the business, DeAndre Swift moves on. He's the latest that should make a big mark in the NFL, coming off 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns on the ground, and 24 catches. Brian Herrien, more of a program player who was very dependable throughout his career, never the star, rarely the starter, but obviously gained a lot of important yards as well with 6 touchdowns on the ground. And this position has been loaded for years in terms of productivity, but the recruiting has been off the charts the last few years. So run it down for us, because James Cook and Zamir White are the two names that come to mind for me first and foremost.
Yeah, you mentioned, Georgia's got that rich history of, just a long line of running backs. Dayton, recently you've had Swift and Chubb and Michelle, and, Gurley is in the NFL, and he's, making a name for himself there. And, so that running back tradition, dates all the way back to Herschel Walker. And I think this year's running back room, coached by Del McGee is going to be no different. You mentioned Zamir White and James Cook. Zamir White, the former number 1 ranked running back in his class, has had a couple tough breaks. His senior year of high school tore his ACL. Coming into his freshman year, that fall camp tore his ACL again. And so, he's already suffered 2, major setback injuries, was maintained his health in this past 2019 season. And, without DeAndre Swift healthy for the Sugar Bowl, it was the Zamir White show. He had a breakout performance with 18 carries, 92 yards. Both of those were career highs. He finished the season with 408 yards and 3 scores. I think that's a guy that a lot of fans, it's easy to see the excitement that Georgia fans have for Zamir White. Every time he's touching the ball, you can hear, the echoing of Zeus, coming from the Georgia, sidelines, from the stands. And so I think people are really excited to see what he can do as the workhorse number 1 running back. His classmate James Cook, also very talented guy coming out of high school. He's been used more of as an all-purpose back. You see him line up in the slot sometimes. You see him, get the ball on a jet sweep or a pitch or something. And I think that's probably what you're going to continue to see. I'm interested to see with new offensive coordinator Todd Monken how the offense is gonna handle the run game. Monken known more as an air raid pass guy. How is he gonna incorporate the Kirby Smart run? I think you could see a lot more off tackle stuff rather than between the guards. I think James Cook could be very helpful in the off tackle running. Another guy that comes to mind for me is Kenny McIntosh. He was a freshman this past season. Also had a pretty good performance in the Sugar Bowl. There were times that we were up in the press box there at Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and high up, and I was like, "Oh, is that DeAndre Swift coming on the field?" Because everyone was concerned: is he going to play? Is he not? I think he ended up playing 2 or 3 snaps that game. Kenny McIntosh came on, and I was thinking, is that DeAndre? Well, McIntosh wears number 6, and he looked good. I mean, he showed that speed, he showed that burst. Definitely where I think there's a lot of excitement for him to see what he can do with a bigger role, as the number 2, number 3 running back in that room. Similar to what Zamir White and James Cook kind of shared this past season behind Swift and Herrien. And then for me, the guy that probably excites me the most about this room, especially this spring, would be Kendall Milton, early enrollee, number 7 running back in the country, out of California, 4-star guy, committed to Georgia last July. I remember coming on talking with you about that, about that commitment. It was a big deal for Georgia to get him, and he's been on campus since beginning of this semester. Excited to see what he can do this spring. Especially without Swift, without Herrien, kind of some fresh faces in the running back room. You could see a guy like Kendall Milton getting some touches. I mean, I think back to the 2017 season when Swift was a freshman, he got his touches. You haven't really seen it the last 2018, 2019 seasons. You haven't really had that dominant freshman. People were hoping that they would have it in Zamir White. He got hurt. James Cook, was behind Brian Herrion, behind DeAndre Swift, behind Elijah Holyfield. So, he wasn't the dominant freshman in the backfield. And then Kenny McIntosh again behind, 4 incredibly talented running backs. I think this year you could see Kendall Milton really pushing for some play.
We've seen the 2 elite backs at Georgia for most of the last 6 to 8 to 10 years, but we see 4 that were elite in high school, and obviously White and Cook getting most of the time to show what they can do at the SEC level, but they're 4 deep in regards to elite high school status, and we'll see how it shakes out starting on March 17th. Like, comment, share the videos, and subscribe right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Check out Palmer's work at 247, so that's Dogs 247, of course, covering Georgia football. Palmer, we appreciate it.
Absolutely.